Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. A big warm welcome wherever you are in the world. This is USA Global TV and Radio. We provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Thank you to all of our loyal viewers and listeners around the world, and welcome to our new audiences on Roku Worldwide, Amazon Fire, and soon to be Apple TV. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Elegance, Polished Demeanor, and Posh Living, where the star of our show is the vivacious, the beautiful Zane Carson Carruth. Zane is a certified etiquette and protocol professional. Zane is also an award-winning international author, and Zane is a very dear friend. Let's welcome Zane to the program. Hello, how are you?
I'm just fine. I'm happy to be here, and it's great to see you, and happy belated birthday yesterday. You had a wonderful birthday, it looked like.
Yes, I did. I'm super blessed and lucky. Thank you. And thank you for all of your well wishes. Zane, I'm super excited about this show because we have a topic that I think is truly relevant for everyone to become aware of and understand the impacts towards our health. But before we bring out our guest, Dallas Jones, tell us a little bit about the work that you are doing. I know you have a new book that's coming out.
Yes, I do. I do have a new book coming out, and it's based on a true story on my own horse. That's my boxer. The name of the book is Abella and the Almost Racehorse, because he's just not quite a racehorse because he got an abscess tooth. So it's a cute little story. And like I said, it's based on a true story. So you'll learn a lot about my horse. But I'm excited for it to come out. It'll probably be another 3 weeks before it hits the pavement, but it's done. It's finished. But thank you for asking about it.
Thank you so much, Zane. Would you please do the honors of introducing our guest, Dallas Jones?
Certainly. Dallas Jones is the nationally renowned radon expert and vice president of Ecosense, a radon monitoring company. It's a leader in the industry for radon monitoring. Welcome, Dallas. We're thrilled to have you here. There's a lot of misinformation about radon and radon testing and who needs to have it. And we are really looking forward to learning about your product here.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Dallas.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Dallas. Where are you joining us from today?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia.
Fantastic. Well, it's a pleasure to have you with such a topic that is really important. Zane and I were chatting just briefly backstage, and I don't have a lot of knowledge about radon. I know, Zane, you've done a lot of research. Tell us about radon. What is it, and why is it important that we know about it?
Well, radon is a radioactive gas that comes from the decay of radium, which comes from the decay of uranium. And there's some radium in most soils and rocks. And since it's a gas, it can travel through the soil. And our houses are not sealed to the soil, no matter how much we think they are. And because of a pressure difference between the house and the soil, radon gas is literally drawn, along with other soil gases, into buildings. And the fact that it's radioactive and produces a big alpha particle that once it decays and becomes little radioactive particles, stick to the lungs. And that radiation has been demonstrated repeatedly for quite a long time to increase the risk of lung cancer. In fact, radon exposure is the leading cause of lung cancer in people who don't smoke. The second leading cause overall.
You know, that's fascinating, because I was talking to my husband about the program today, and he goes, "Oh, okay, radon. What is that?" I said, "Oh, I don't know. I think it has something to do with boilers, you know, because Texas is not one of the required states to have radon testing when you buy a home, but New York is, and we had to have radon testing. So I erroneously just drew the conclusion that it had something to do with a boiler, but it doesn't. Radon is everywhere, which just shocked me. What you just said is that's eye-opening for everybody nationwide, worldwide.
Well, radon has been found in elevated levels in every state in the union. It's found all over the world. The World Health Organization is heavily involved in helping to promote policy in different countries. The issue has always been that it's naturally occurring, and because there's no manufacturer with deep pockets to blame, then there haven't been lawsuits to help raise awareness. Its presence in the soil is natural, and it usually just comes out of the ground and into the atmosphere and dilutes rapidly. But when it's drawn into a home, it can build up to dangerous levels. And when we breathe those over time, it greatly increases the risk of lung cancer. We're seeing some new studies even where they haven't proven definitively, but quite a number of studies that are indicating that it may have a link to leukemia as well.
Oh my gosh.
Dallas, thanks for sharing that. You know, I have several family members who did not smoke and passed away from lung cancer. And maybe this is one of those, there's a tie in there. Is there any smell to radon? If we don't have some way to detect it, can we smell it? Can we see it? Can we, without a device, is it possible?
Well, the other reason that it hasn't become more infamous, I guess, or more gotten more notoriety, is that it is colorless, it's odorless, it's tasteless. We can't really detect its presence without something that can measure the radioactivity. So because we can't really sense it, it's easy to dismiss. The other factor is, unlike carbon monoxide, which can kill you overnight in your sleep if you're exposed to enough, this isn't an acute risk. It's something that takes some time to develop. But if you've ever known or been with someone who's suffering from lung cancer, you know it's not a pleasant way to leave this world. And lung cancer is the most prominent of all cancers. And that also has not gotten quite the attention because of its association with smoking. And so people seem to think that, well, if you have lung cancer, then you had it coming. You should have known better than to smoke cigarettes. But as you mentioned, there are more and more people being diagnosed with lung cancer who never smoked and at younger ages all the time.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, that is very interesting. Okay, now y'all sell machines that can monitor this for your homes, right? And businesses and schools. And
Correct.
How effective are they?
Well, the reason I became a part of Ecosense is because our radon sensor is so phenomenal that I just wanted to be a part of the company. It has been traditionally too expensive to have the kind of sensor technology that we have. Professionals who do testing, perhaps in real estate transactions, or for nuclear power plants and other applications, would have the means to purchase a traditional radon monitor. It wasn't until our sensor became available and we began to produce our product line that homeowners could have the same detection technology. In fact, it's better than a lot of the professional devices at a very affordable price. And so we're able to provide a little monitor that you can put in your home and not only take a short 2 or 3 day test, you can monitor the radon concentrations from 1 hour to the next, from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. And that's important because radon concentrations are changing all the time. There's a relationship between the building and the soil below based on pressure. Differential pressure, I guess the simplest way to think about that is warm air rises and we have air that's coming up to the attic and out the top of the house, and that pulls replacement air from below. And that's called the stack effect. As that air leaves at the top, and replacement air comes in from below, a portion of that replacement air is coming from the soil. And that's the source of the radon. And that relationship, that pressure relationship, will change depending on the weather, depending on the time of year, whether you're running your heat or your air conditioning. All those things cause that radon concentration indoors to move up and down. So being able to take a look at it for a long period gives you a really good idea of what your exposure is. It also helps you determine what are the things perhaps in your building operation, when you're cooking and running exhaust fans, when you're running the heat or the air conditioning and other activities, what causes the radon to rise and what may cause it to go down.
Thank you, Dallas. I appreciate that. What I'm wondering is, once radon is detected, what is the next step that we need to take?
Well, that's a great question. The good news is radon concentrations can be reduced by a qualified mitigation contractor. It's really not complicated. What they do is they reverse that airflow. So they use a PVC pipe that they insert in the slab. And or if it's a crawl space house like you have in a lot of the country, they'll put a membrane down over the dirt, and then they'll pull air with this PVC pipe and an inline fan. They'll draw air out from underneath the membrane or the concrete slab and run that pipe up either through a chase inside the house or outside the house in a location that you don't really notice, and it exhausts the radon to the outdoors. But the the real way it works is it's just creating a lower pressure in the ground than there is in the house. So any place that you just can't physically get to seal, the airflow is going the other way. It'll cause the air to go down rather than from the ground in, and that has some advantages in other ways too. You keep other pollutants and soil gases from coming in, and if you live in a humid environment, then you can reduce the moisture inside as well, because that damp air can no longer be drawn into the house.
Excellent information. Thank you, Zane.
Well, yeah. How many of those monitors do you have to have in your house? Is one enough, or do you have to have one upstairs, one downstairs, or how many square feet do you need? I mean, how many units per square feet do you need?
Well, typically you'll want to test in the lowest, a room that you occupy a lot on the lowest level of the house. There's a myth also out there that, radon is something that occurs in homes with basements. And if you live in a home over a crawl space or that's slab on grade, that radon really isn't a concern at all. That's not true. The house is still connected to the soil, and the soil gases can be drawn in. But if you test in that lowest level, that's where the concentrations will tend to be the highest, because as the air moves up further in the house, there's more volume of air for dilution. So it'll dilute into the larger volume as you move to the floor above and so forth. So test in that lowest level. Now, if you have a complicated house where perhaps you have a basement and maybe to the side of that is an area over a crawl space, or maybe a slab addition, then you would like to test in that basement area, particularly if you spend time there, in a room over the crawl space and in a room over the slab. So you would like to test in all three areas, because it could be different in those locations.
Okay, so your unit, can you just unplug it and take it to another room, or do you?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. We have a lot of people who do that. They'll test for weeks in a certain location and get an idea there, and then they'll move it to a different location. They're affordable enough that we have some customers that decide they just want to keep an eye on it by buying extra units and putting them in more than one location. It's not necessary, but you can, because you can move it.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Oh, and say you do, like Dr. JACALYN said, you do find you have radon. Now, how easy is it to find these mitigation companies? What are they even called?
Well, if you look in Google and search for radon mitigation company, then you'll find a lot of them. I was the executive director of the Radon Association for professionals, and that program also has a certification body that certifies radon testers and mitigators that can demonstrate that they have taken the necessary training and can pass an exam to do that kind of work. Some states have licensing programs that require that certification, or their own licensing requirements, depending on the state. You mentioned to me earlier that you're in Texas, and there's a myth that Texas doesn't have radon. That's kind of helped by the fact that as long as people don't test, then they don't find elevated radon. What has changed that viewpoint a little bit in the last few years is the Department of Housing and Urban Development requires radon testing, even in Texas, on a multifamily property. So if they're getting financed, either refinanced or purchased, then they have to go through testing in the multifamily properties. And there are a lot of multifamily properties in Texas, like everywhere. And so they're doing testing in Texas and finding that, lo and behold, there's elevated radon there too. As I mentioned, you can find elevated concentrations in buildings and homes in every state.
Dallas, thank you. What I'm wondering is during the pandemic, obviously more people started working from home, and many people probably still are working from home. And is it more likely we have more autonomy and the ability to be proactive and to take care of our health? So are you finding an increase in the number of purchases from homeowners as opposed to before the pandemic?
Absolutely. As people began to spend time at home working, they became more aware of their surroundings. Perhaps there's a false sense of security when you're working in the office that somebody's managing that and you don't think about it so much. But when you're at home, you know for sure that you're responsible, and perhaps unless you're renting, and uh, taking that responsibility and looking around, you realize, well, perhaps I should test. And we have seen a marked increase in sales as a result of people working from home, because they want to make sure that the place that they're spending time, which is often an office in the lowest level, is monitored and mitigated if need be.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's an excellent question, Dr. JACALYN, because I'm just curious, how educated is the general public about radon? Because like I said, I was way off base, and my husband was, and he usually knows everything. But so are we in the minority, or are we just
No, I would say you're not the minority. There, as I mentioned, it's easy to ignore. So I talk to people regularly who say, well, yeah, I think I had a radon test when I bought my home, and everything was fine. And they don't really recall it very well. They don't really remember what the concentration was. They don't realize that radon concentrations can change, not only from the time of year or the weather or house operation, but also because of things you do to your home. You could finish out a basement and change things as a result of remodeling. You could put an addition on the home. You could change the heating and air conditioning system. There could be construction nearby where they're using explosives for trying to get some rock and earth out of the way. All these things, earthquakes, change the airspace in the soil and the pathways for radon to move. If you don't keep an eye on it, then you're certainly subject to the possibility that it could change. My own house is an example. I've been doing radon work for 35 years plus, and I've tested my own home that I've lived in for the last 25 years multiple times, and never had an elevated concentration until recently. I had some monitors running here. I was demoing and doing some R&D work with, and I discovered that I was getting some concentrations that I'd never seen before. And I was trying to figure out, well, what has happened? And what happened is I had my heating and air conditioning replaced. And when they did that, it's on the lowest level of the home. They actually didn't seal up the ductwork very well, and so the return that draws the air back to the air handler is sucking air from the room that it's in. And so that's creating a lower pressure that's pulling more soil gas in, and then it's bringing it upstairs. Once I realized that, I had to take measures to mitigate.
Thank you, Dallas. I'm wondering, is there any correlation between the age of a home and the likelihood of the presence of radon? So if we buy an older home, more likely new construction?
Mhm. That's another good question. People often think that if they have a new home, then they shouldn't be worried. So a couple of things to consider. EPA estimates about 21,000 Americans die of radon-induced lung cancer annually. And that number hasn't been changing a lot because we're building new homes with elevated concentrations as fast as we're mitigating existing ones. Yes, new homes can have elevated concentrations. One of the things that builders are doing in a lot of areas of the country is they're putting in what was originally called radon resistant construction features. That's not a very good name, because what it really does is just make the home easier and more affordable to fix should it have a radon problem. So they make sure that they have a lot of aggregate stone underneath the concrete slab, and a way to attach a pipe to that gravel base that's underneath the slab. And if the home gets tested, then all they need to do, if the concentrations are elevated, is put a fan in line and activate the system. Unfortunately, it gets marketed by the builders who are also often ignorant about the necessity for testing, that they've taken measures to address radon. And so people don't test when they purchase the home. And perhaps it's only when they go to sell it again that they realize, wow, I've been living in elevated concentrations. I thought I had radon measures taken when the home was built. But if the home doesn't get tested, then that system can't get activated to do the job.
And I would think that a cracked foundation would really increase your chance for radon.
Well, cracked foundations, there's other penetrations that come through where plumbing pipes come up through the slab. Block wall foundations, are not airtight no matter what you try to do. The gas can find its way in. There's a perimeter crack where the slab meets the foundation. There are just a lot of places where a gas can find its way in, and because it wants to move in that direction, it does. You add that to houses that have a crawl space area, particularly with a dirt floor crawl space. In some of the country, around where I live, for example, in crawl space houses, they built not too many years ago, they were putting the air handler, the furnace in the crawl space, and so now you've got this damp, often moldy crawl space with a lot of humidity, soil gas coming up, and it's all being sucked up through the floor into the living space. It's important to take a look at that. I think we've been ignoring our home environment and its relationship to our health. We think about asthma because it makes us or our children cough and wheeze, and so we have these symptoms, and we want to go do something about it. The problem with lung cancer is the symptoms don't show up until it's too late. Stage 4 is typically when people find that they have lung cancer, and at that point it's already metastasized to other parts of the body. I'll share very quickly. I got a phone call coming out of an airport not too many months ago from a fairly young man in Park City, Utah, who wanted to tell me, my number got referred to him by someone, how much he appreciated our little monitors and how they track the radon concentration, and how important it was to him, because he had been diagnosed this summer with stage 4 lung cancer. He's in his early to mid 40s. Never smoked a cigarette. He lives in Park City because he loves to ski and mountain bike. He's always been very active and athletic, and he was puzzled, right away. How could I get lung cancer? And that's the question that I hear all too often. And after he tested his home and he realized he'd been living in high radon there, he doesn't know, how many other homes he lived in that had elevated concentrations. At that point, it's too late to prevent it. But it's a very preventable disease if you're aware, you test, and you reduce the concentrations if necessary.
Thank you, Dallas. We're coming to the end of the show. And one question that I have for you is that your monitors are built with a certain patented technology. I think it's ion chamber technology. And I'm wondering, how often does that technology, just like phones, for example, they're constantly changing. So how often do you come out with new versions of the monitors, or once it's there, it's really, you don't need to have any upgrades or any patches or anything else?
Well, the sensor technology that we have is what has made this so affordable for homeowners to have now. It's a very sensitive detector, meaning that you can accurately measure the concentrations at short intervals from 1 hour to the next, which helps you track and see what's going on. Our updates are typically with other features to make it more user friendly. We already have trend charts where you can graph and look at your phone app, for example, and see how the radon concentration moves, and then go in and get your average for the day, week, month, and year. The health risk is based on exposure over time, but being able to look at that keeps you aware. And I always, one of our products is called a radon eye, and I think that's appropriate because not only are we able to see the radon, it's important to keep your eye on what the concentrations are. So I guess to answer your question, we're really not changing the sensor technology, but we're coming out with different applications and technology to make it more user friendly.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. For those who are listening on an audio only platform, we have pulled up Ecosense's website, and I'd love to have you just walk us through, Dallas, the important information here for consumers as well as businesses. You've got a number of solutions here.
Well, we have a section for consumers, a section for business products, so you can hit the menu and scroll through and see the products that are designed for homeowners and the ones that are designed for professionals. We have a referral club, which is something that you can join, and you'll make a little commission if you'd like to sell them or refer our monitors to your friends and family. The one you're looking at right there is one that doesn't need to be connected to anything other than just plugged in the wall. It has a display on the front that will show the concentration for the hour at that point in time. And then there's a little button on the back, and you can press it and it'll show you what the average was for the day. Press it again, it'll show you for the week, and then again for the month and the year. So it doesn't give you a record, but it's simple. It doesn't need to be connected to Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. If you scroll down just a little more, the EcoCube is probably my favorite because it'll keep you put it on your Wi-Fi, and then you have a phone app, and so all the data, all the hourly data, daily averages, weekly and monthly, are kept on the cloud, and you can look at it at any time on your phone from anywhere. So you could even, as long as it's connected to Wi-Fi, you can see what the radon concentration is, as long as you can get on Wi-Fi from your phone, and it'll show you the trend charts, how the radon's moving up and down, as well as the averages for the different time periods. It's an amazing monitor. We have professionals that are using a professional version of this monitor for long-term monitoring for mitigation systems. If you have a mitigation system, it's really important that if you're not having it professionally monitored, that you monitor it yourself with a device like this or the one we just showed.
And let's also mention to our audio only audience that there's a special promotion going on right now that you can save 10%. And the promo code is the letter E, capital E dash spring home, all capital letters, E dash spring home. Offer expires March 31st.
This one is our Radon Eye. It's our flagship detector that was the first one we came out with. This one doesn't need to be on Wi-Fi, but you connect to it via Bluetooth, so you can't monitor the concentrations from a distance. But as soon as you get close enough to connect via Bluetooth, then you can pull the data from it and see it on your phone. It'll keep the data until you delete it. So it's another opportunity.
I like the fact that it has there in plain sight, action required. Do something.
Well, he sold me. I'm ready to buy one.
I'm ready to buy one as well. So
one for me, one for my daughter.
When you think about it, obviously lung cancer, I've witnessed it in family members. It is a horrible way to go. If you could spend less than $200 to have something like this, that's going to give you the information that you need. That's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's a no-brainer. And I'm so grateful to know about this, because I've often wondered, like everybody else, how in the world do you get lung cancer if you don't smoke? But
right.
Unless
it happens. It happens for sure. We seem to have lost Dallas's audio, but I just wanted to point out here that you can actually come down the page and you can compare the three different products that he shared already and make a decision about what's best for you. And of course, there's also opportunities to go on and find out about solutions for businesses, about the referrals, that's the referral club where you can earn a few dollars yourself. So thank you so much. We're going to stop sharing the screen for right now. And we're back. Dallas, do you have your audio back? No. Okay, we're going to take Dallas off screen just temporarily while he figures out his sound. But if you would like to get in touch with Dallas, it's Dallas Jones, VP of Ecosense, and the website is ecosense.io. Zane, what are your key takeaways from today's show?
Well, one, I'm thrilled to have learned that, and that there's a solution. I mean, and it's very cost effective. I mean, that's a good under $200 to be able to monitor something like that. And you can just take it out and plug it in another room, or take it upstairs, or take it to your vacation home, or whatever. I think today has been a great show, very informative and valuable. I think we learned some valuable information today.
I think so too. I personally will be purchasing this monitor, and I know you're going to. So I would just, I would advocate for people to think about it. What is your health worth, right? So we're not paid spokespersons for this, and we're not medical doctors, but just from a human standpoint, make this investment in your health, your family's health, and peace of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. This is just a blessing that fell in our lap to get all this information. And it's so easy. And I expected this system to be a couple of $1,000s, but man, anyway, I'm getting one, maybe two.
I am too. Zane, as we close out this show, I'm going to spotlight you. What is the value you can bring to our audience, and how can they reach out to you?
Well, you can reach out to me at zanecarruth.com. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, if you have something to share, something, like this, something that people really don't know about but need to know about, or if you've got a new product or a book or anything, we'd love to have you on the show. And if you'd like me to write an article about etiquette for your magazine or your newspaper, I'm happy to do that. Again, zanecarruth.com. Or if you have any questions, or someone you'd like to see on the show, or information you would like to get on the show, have for us to have someone on, we're happy to do that too. So just let us know. We are easy to work with.
Thank you so much, Zane. Of course, we have your information here at the bottom of the screen. So we do ask people to go and reach out to you. They can find you on LinkedIn as well. So thank you so much for being here today. We want to thank Dallas. We're sorry that Dallas lost the audio, but that's okay, Dallas. We're purchasing your products and we're advocating for everyone else to do that as well.
We're your spokespeople.
That's right. And Zane, we look forward to seeing you again next month. So thank you and do take care.
Yes, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye for now. Thank you, everyone. Whether you're watching on the live or the replay, we truly do appreciate you. Please spread the word. Tell people about USA Global TV and Radio, as our sole mission is to bring education and awareness to people all across the world. As Zane mentioned, if you'd like to be a guest on this or any of our other shows, we have 42 different shows you can choose from. Please go to our website, usaglobaltv.com. Book your session. That's all for now. Thank you so much. This program has been brought to you in part by Zane Carson Carruth, etiquette and protocol expert, international award-winning author, television show host, and philanthropist. Thank you to Zane, our official diamond sponsor for USA Global TV and Radio in partnership with E360 TV. Zane is the author of the world's first tooth fairy ever, as well as many other children's books. She's also the television host of ELEGANCE, Polished Demeanor, and POSH Living, seen on USA Global TV and Radio.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
To learn more about Zane, contact her through her website, zanecarruth.com. ZANECARRUTH.com. Order Zane's books and merchandise. Contact her about being a keynote speaker at your next event.